Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason. Here are your hosts, Richard Saunders and Stefan Sojka.
Richard, welcome along one more time.
Hey, one more time. Hello, Stefan. You know, I thought that introduction by our voiceover man Jim Wilshire this week sounded a bit different.
It actually sounded quite intimate, quite close. The proximity
It was surprising.
of the voiceover was just
With some modern technology, you'd think he's in the same room with us.
It feels almost as if he's in the same room with us.
In fact, he is.
Get on with it, lads. Get on with it.
Hello, Jim.
Hello, boys.
Jim's here.
Jim, our voiceover man from... And now it's time for Dr. Rachie Reports, and it's a grain of salt and all the rest. He's here in the room with us.
You know, I didn't even know he was a real person. I thought he was
Really?
I thought he was a voiceover from another realm.
A voiceover-generated meme
Yeah.
or something.
I used to be.
And you've beamed down
Now I'm here.
Oh, it's good to see you. And it makes the zone slightly more crowded.
It does in our little studio.
It does.
But I'm pleased to say that not only will Jim be joining us later in the show for the think tank.
Oh, yes, he will.
Oh,
too.
yes, he will. Last night at Skeptics in the pub here in Sydney, Jim gave a live read of one of his skeptical poems about these funny energy power bracelets.
I'll
be
love
playing that.
anyone who makes fun of those silly things.
But it's surprising because Jim has said, welcome to the Skeptic Zone now 124 times, because this is episode number 124 for the 4th of March.
It's 125, actually, because this is the second time we've done this.
Oh,
Shh, we've got to be professional about this,
sorry.
Jim.
and counting the pilot that we did, it's 126.
Oh, the pilot that was never seen.
That was never seen.
And I've practiced.
You have practiced.
So it's probably 127.
127? Any advance on 127?
All right. But the official, what episode is it?
Officially, now after all that, it is still officially episode number 124.
Jimmy must be exhausted as we are.
Well, to be honest, I've only said it twice.
Well, Richard,
Yes.
welcome along again.
Thank you.
And Jim. And so what have we got happening?
It's a big show. It's always a big show.
It's a huge show.
It's a huge show.
It gets bigger every time.
It's bigger than that.
Really?
It's so big. This show is so big, it goes as far as Norway.
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 What's happening in Norway?
Norway. We're going to be speaking to Kristin Carlsson from the Norwegian Skeptics.
The Norwegian Skeptics.
Norwegian Skeptics.
Yeah, aren't they? They're pretty big on cold reading up there, aren't they?
God, Jim, do you want to be a host instead of him?
It's no way.
Oh, boy, thank you very much. Yes, Kristin is going to be speaking to us via the magic of Skype all about the Norwegian Skeptics and her activities promoting science and reason in that part of the world.
Actually, I actually thought they were quite reasonable up there already. Are there actually people in Norway that are into woo-woo?
I'm sure there is. There are.
Really?
There will be. And there will be tomorrow, and there always will be. But no, she's great. Fantastic interview coming up. Also on today's show, Dr. Rachel Maynard and I went to Armageddon. Again.
Really? What, the movie, or you actually experienced the end of the world?
We experienced the end of the world, and we have a special report from the end of the world.
Really?
Now, this was like an anime fest here in Sydney, and science fiction and all that sort of stuff. We're chatting to various voice-over artists.
Oh, really?
I haven't seen one of those for a long time.
No.
And this week, Maynard interviews Michael McConnohie, who does lots of video game voiceovers and things like that.
Oh, he had a few stories to tell about being cooped up in a booth.
I'm sure he does.
And talking.
He's the sort of guy who would probably say, in a world gone mad.
Oh,
well, you know, that sort of stuff.
Yes.
You know.
Or, kill them all!
Die. Die. I think he does say die. We have the think tank, of course, as we
Yes.
do.
Is it a normal think tank, or is it going to be an extra special one this week?
No, it's really boring.
Just
and normal. Jim Wilshire will be joining us in the think tank. That's very exciting.
It's a special week having Jim here. It
is. It's really fantastic. We've got a new segment by Joanne Benhamu called Reality Bites.
Is that so?
It is.
I look forward to hearing that.
And reality does bite.
It certainly does around here.
It does at the moment. So it's a big show, Stefan. What can I say?
It's show number 124.
It is.
It's getting bigger by the moment.
It's so big we better get out of here.
All right, let's get on with the show, hey?
Let's do it.
All right.
And I'm delighted to say that through the magic of long-distance internet, I've managed to hook up a connection between here and Oslo in Norway. I think it's sort of bouncing off Thailand and sneaking up through Belgium, being sidetracked through Shanghai. Then it's finally making it to Moscow, trailing across by mule to Oslo, where we have, after all that, we have Kristin Carlsson. Hello.
Hey, Richard, thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's our pleasure, absolutely our pleasure. Now, you came to my attention when I was looking at all the wonderful videos coming in from around the world, just recently with the 1023 campaign, and there I saw a great little video from Oslo, and there you are, right at the front, conducting everybody and taking the little sugar pills. How did that all come about?
Well, that's a very good question. I was actually contacted by Mike Marshall, who's the sort of international coordinator, I guess, of the whole thing. He got a tip that I would be interested in doing this, and of course I was just said, yes, sure, I'll do it. And I really didn't have any more plans than that, so I sort of, through the internet, various discussion forums, I sort of managed to hook up with some interested people who wanted to do this, and we did like a small gathering on the day, and we managed also to get, I guess it was 3 or 4 people up in Trondheim as well, which was really great that we could manage more than one city in Norway as well, which was great. In Oslo, we were about 26, I guess, buying ourselves some little sugar pills and doing the thing, and it was fun. It was great fun.
It certainly came across that way on the video. It looked like you're all having an interesting time. And there was one guy there, and I seem to remember he's sort of in a uniform. Was it a military uniform? It
was a military uniform, yeah. It took the trip down from doing a bit of a service there, I guess. And he seemed to be having fun with the pills as well.
I guess the most important thing, of course, is it was videoed. Which meant that thousands and thousands of people around the world, including myself, got to see it and got to see your efforts there.
Yeah.
The impression I had when you did it was, oh, it's so cold. Because when we did it in Sydney, it was the tail end of a heat wave, and it was really hot.
Yeah, it was a bit chilly. We all huddled into a cafe afterwards to warm ourselves, eat lunch and edit video. So that certainly helped, and it was good that it didn't last very long. The campaign itself.
That's quite handy, because you could have taken all the unused sugar pills into the cafe to sweeten your coffee.
All right. I guess some of us did as well. Have some leftovers.
What's your story, and why? Why did you end up being the front lady, apart from what you've just told us? I mean, the longer story getting there. The longer story getting there, yeah. Well, all I can say is that really more than I would have imagined has happened the last year only, I guess. I guess it all started when I began at the university. I studied for a degree there. I've always been really interested in astronomy, so I did a degree in astronomy, and so I went to the university. But I guess before that, I was a bit, what you might call open to stuff, just interested in lots of mystical things, I guess. Curious, huh?
Yeah, very curious, But to me, I didn't really know the difference between the science bits and the pseudoscience bits. That's what I kind of learned at the university. So it helped me. I needed a bit of help when it comes to that. I was reading about sort of really weird stuff like black holes, which really interested me. And I thought about that the same way as I did when I read about UFOs and ghosts, I just had to learn the difference. The university helped. As well as my love for reading blogs. I really like blogs as a medium. So I started reading a bad astronomy blog, Phil Plate's blog, which I really love.
Phil Plate, here's his name come up again, yes.
And, people who are really into what they write about, especially the geeky and sciencey stuff. And I guess my love of the internet, and in combination with a bit of control from my studies, prevented me from listening to the wrong people, I guess, when searching about, because it could have gone both ways.
Yes, it could have. Absolutely, you could listen to the internet's just full of every opinion, and wrong, right, and indifferent. So it's interesting exercise to go along and weed out which ones are correct. I guess that's why we come back to the scientific method and skepticism again. It's also a wonderful way for helping you weed out which is good and bad on the internet.
Yeah, I think it's a way of thinking and looking at the world that I find really sort of giving. I guess any interesting topic you can stumble over. Mine was skepticism. I don't remember going from this sort of more believing person to being a skeptic. I don't have like this one moment, I guess. I was never a religious person. I was never brought up particularly religiously. You know, it was a slow thing. I remember knowing about James Randi's $1 Million Challenge long before I got into skepticism. And I thought that was a great thing. I mean, I believed in lots of paranormal stuff, but I thought that was a great thing that there was a challenge to sort of prove it as well. So it was a really slow thing. And I guess the major sort of shift in how I came about being a skeptic was in 2009 when I found out about the first ever amazing meeting held in London.
Right.
Yeah, so I really wanted to go to that, and I did. I remember there being so many Norwegians attending TAM London in 2000. It was a lot of us. Yeah, tens and tens, and which was really nice. And it's just been announced that Mr. Randi, coordinated by the Norwegian Humanist Association, is actually visiting Norway in March. On the 18th of March, he's going to be in Oslo. And then he's going to Trondheim and Bergen on the 21st and 22nd. That'll be awesome.
That man gets around. He's incredible. Let me rephrase that, and it's the word that keeps coming up about Randy. He's amazing.
He's really amazing, yeah. It's really, really, really nice to talk to as well. So when I got back from that, I started sort of interacting more with people on the internet, on the discussion forums that I go to. And I started going to the sort of skeptic meetups at the pub in Oslo. And that's when I sort of really got to know the people that I hang out with now. And then I guess some of them, there was a couple of them talking about being really, really motivated from going to TAM London and wanting to do something similar in Oslo. And they were sort of asking, is there an interest in this, and holding a conference in Oslo, Skeptics Conference? And I was like, I am in. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I want to do. I'm in. Just count me in. And suddenly I find myself, co-organising Norway's first Skeptics Conference. And then we had that last October, which was a huge success in our eyes. We're really thinking about doing this again, and we're going to start planning it soon.
That sounds fantastic. Well, my name's Richard Saunders, and
yes.
I can speak on all sorts of things, and I've never been to Oslo, and
that is noted as of now.
Thank you.
No, we had some really, really cool guests. We had our sort of eminent guests from abroad were obviously Simon Singh and Rebecca Watson that came over, which was really great, and as well as loads of really good speakers from Norway and a couple from Sweden. And it was a really good turnout as well, we thought.
What a fantastic thing that you've done that you were inspired, and other people like you were inspired by the internet, and then by going to a TAM, and that to progress that to being active locally, which I think is a wonderful thing, and it's happening all around the world, especially here in Australia, that I've noticed that after our recent TAM, more people want to be active locally.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing, and wow, the adventures that await you! I can't tell you what amazing things you're going to discover and find out and be involved with, especially when you do investigations into the paranormal, or maybe you help bring down a charlatan. That's quite a good feeling.
I would love to do some sort of investigations myself. It would be really nice.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure there are plenty of haunted houses in Oslo.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? We'll find out.
That's it. Exactly. You'll find out. Now, one of the interesting things that has struck me while I'm chatting with you, on the video, of course, you obviously did the video in Norwegian, and the little lovely little ad for your the Skeptics Day you sent me was in Norwegian. Yet your English is practically flawless. Did you spend a long time in England, or do a lot of Norwegians are good English speakers? I don't know.
I think my impression is that most Norwegians have little problem speaking English, and anyone speaking English who goes to Norway will have no problem in being understood and communicating. So, yeah, it's a very common thing to be relatively knowledgeable in English and being able to speak it. So,
well, that's really interesting to hear, because it means that getting access to information, which is, as it happens, mostly in English about what we do, is relatively easy. I imagine there are people in some countries around the world who want to get into skepticism or anything and hit a bit of a language barrier.
Yeah, and that's, I think, good advice as well, is to do more blogs and do more sort of information channels in your local language as well. I mean, I have a blog, and I make a point of blogging in Norwegian, because I think that's really important, because there are loads and loads of really good sources out there in English, but we need more. We need more Norwegians as well doing this.
In fact, while you mention that, where can people look at your blog? Where can they go?
Well, I guess I'll have to spell it out if I'm going to say, but my blog in Norwegian is called Prokrastinuft. prokrastinuft.no. But yeah, if they go to my Twitter profile, which is That Nerd Woman, they won't have any problems figuring out where to look for my blog, I guess.
Yes, everybody listening, please friend Kristin on Twitter. That Nerd Woman. What a great Twitter address it is. So what are your immediate plans? Lining up another convention, doing some more publicity, writing the blog? Are you going to do a podcast, maybe?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it, because we've actually started a podcast. We're in our infancy yet, but we're closing up on 10 episodes, actually. We're doing, every second week we meet up with 6 people who meet up at Skype and record a podcast, which is, I think it's really great, and everyone should listen to it. And that's also something that came out of the whole, we're very motivated, we're really starting to get things going for skepticism here in Norway. We have to have a podcast, you know?
Oh, yes.
And I actually am in a podcast as well as a bit more organized version of the Skeptics in the Pub, which has started also after the conference in Oslo last year. We just had George Robb doing a concert organized by us. Robb. He's really great. By the way, he said to tell you, I spoke to him and said to tell you that he'll always treasure the afternoon you and he spent in the hot tub, but that koala never responds to his emails.
Yeah, that's another story. Yeah. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Yes, we won't worry about that.
Side note.
Thank you, George.
Yes.
Well, now people can find out about that podcast at your blog.
Oh yeah. I linked to it, so that's really great.
What's the name of the podcast?
The name of the podcast is Saltklypa, which means sort of the most important tools a skeptic has, which is the pinch of salt.
Well, listen, Kristin, I'm delighted to learn about you and to see you on YouTube. I hope you do some more videos so we can get to see more of you. And I wish you all the best and every success with your life in skepticism. And if I can get to Norway by any means possible, maybe on the back of a donkey or whatever it takes, I really hope I can visit and see you all.
Oh, you're very welcome. That'd be nice.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. It's been great fun.
Marit.
Og jeg er Kristin, og vi vil tipse deg som norsk lytter av Skeptic Zone om skeptikermiljøet i Norge.
Det finnes norske blogger og pubtreff og podcast, og foreningen Skepsis driver med slikt som disse du hører på nå.
Sentralt er skepsis.no, og her publiseres det dyptgående artikler, en kalender over aktiviteter og lenker til nyttige ressurser.
Skepsis-bloggen oppdateres jevnlig, og det diskuteres heftig på forumet, så stikk innom og delta du også.
Skepsis.no.
Here's food for thought. It's Reality Bites with Joanne Benhamu.
The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, or ACCC, has commenced federal legal proceedings in Perth, Western Australia, against Gwyneth Graham over alleged claims that she and her associates are able to cure cancer. The ACCC alleges that Ms. Graham's conduct breaches Australian consumer law, which prohibits false or misleading representations about performance characteristics, uses, or benefits of services. Ms. Graham is associated with the Spiritual Healing Association of Western Australia and the Australian and International Peace Operations Limited, through which she is alleged to have promoted these cures on a number of websites since January this year. The website of the Spiritual Healing Association of Western Australia states that spiritual healing is the way to go to curing cancer. You can say goodbye to alternate medicine or radiation, terrible chemotherapy or hospital waiting periods. They claim to be 100% effective and cure cancer by a life-giving force only through the power of the spirit. Even though the ACCC have disabled the listed websites, I was able to access cached copies of 2 of the sites. You can see a list of these sites on the ACCC website, which we will link to from the Skeptic Zone page. The service is delivered in Kununurra, a remote town of about 7,000 people in far northwestern Australia. Participants must cover their own travel and accommodation. The cost to be cured is $495, with discounts for pensioners, and you can only be cured if you have cancer. Their powers do not extend to cover other illnesses. The matter has been fast-tracked and is next listed for mention on the 4th of March 2011. On a related note, while researching the story, I discovered that the Spiritual Healing Association of Western Australia is listed on the online business directory Start Local under the category Radiation Oncology Specialists in Australia. Start Local claim to manually approve all entries submitted to their site, but it is not clear how they determine whether an individual or business is legitimate. This is particularly important for an organisation or individual offering any medical service. I wrote to Start Local for comment. This is Joanne Benhamu for the Skeptic Zone podcast.
Let me just mic you up, Jim.
What's it like?
Now, Jim's someone whom you may not recognise, but you might recognise the voice. Here we go.
Apparently I say this every week. Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to read that.
Jim is the voiceover man. He does all the voice links for the Skeptic Zone. It's great to have him up for a couple of days to visit us. We're going over to Stefan's, who does the music, tomorrow, and we're going to do a whole lot more recording. But I'll hand you over to Jim at the moment, who would like to read one of his wonderful skeptical poems for you.
Thank you, Richard. This is called EMBRACELET. I think that I should warn you, I'm empowered, so watch out. I've a newfound source of energy from my wrist or roundabout. A piece of pretty plastic which is imbued with special power. The alignment of the molecules is like running through a shower, tingling down my torso with special energy from within. A holographic gift from God, plucked straight from nature's bin. That natural source of pure power packed deep inside the planet. I'm not sure if it's electronic because I haven't tried to scan it. Don't want to fool with Mother Nature, and who am I to know? Things which science can't explain and laboratories can't grow. That's like dabbling with the ether which binds us in this soup. You bugger about with that and you'll be left outside the loop. Should I buy some more so I can stick them on my ankles? Give my legs a little lift and end those sore arch rankles. Another on my other wrist to keep my balance in check. And I better buy a fifth, I guess, to string around my neck. Maybe there are private parts I really should wear one on. Tuck one down my trousers until that itch is fully gone. There's nothing you can't fix with this breathtaking ring, a bracelet anklet necklace, which makes you like a king. Bow to me, all you suckers, for I have the new magical band, which unleashes lots of elements that are otherwise unplanned. So they're focused in a constant line, centering your thought. I think it's truly amazing that all this power can be bought. Still, it's such a little price to pay for something that's priceless. You see, I've seen it on the wrists of some I'd call viceless, unless they've just been sucked in by the power of the word and getting tainted by this plastic. No, that's just too absurd. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Rachie, Atlanta has Dragon Con, Sydney has Armageddon.
We're down at Sydney Olympic Park and we've just walked into the Dome, which is where it's being held, and just taking it all in. But it's looking very similar to, say, one of the vendor halls at Dragon Con, where they have the stalls set up and they sell lots of merchandise and stuff.
Absolutely.
But there's also a lot of people dressed up, Richard.
I'm surprised because today is warm. Let's just say today is warm.
It is very warm.
It reminds me, it's like I'm back in Atlanta because it's steamy hot, and yet there are all these people dressed up as all sorts of characters. Look, if we look over there are 3 ladies dressed up as Xena characters, Xena warrior princess. And over there, there's a Dalek running
There
around.
is a Dalek.
There's a ninja. Look, there's a ninja.
You didn't see that. You can't see ninjas.
Well, I thought I saw something. It could have
We
been a
saw the
ninja.
Green Lantern outside. He was looking a little bit uncomfortable in his full costume in the heat. So let's go take a look around, Richard.
Dive in. Now, there are so many people wandering around in weird costumes. Who do I have and what are you today?
I'm Meg from Hercules, and I'm really cool and powerhouse.
Looks amazing. And you are?
Oh, I'm Debbie D from the comics I Feel Sick by Joanne Benhamu Our. Debbie D was originally in the Homicidal Maniac comics, yes.
And you come along here just to hang out with all like-minded people and enjoy the show, really?
Yeah, basically. It's great coming here and meeting so many people who just like the same sort of things that you do. So.
And one more here we have. There's a lovely young lady here. It's a key.
Yes.
It's a giant key. What are you?
Oh, I'm Zaya. I'm from Kingdom Hearts.
I find it interesting because years and years and years and years ago, when you'd come to a convention like this, it was all film characters. It's Star Wars and whatever. Yeah. But more and more, it's all sorts of different things. It's comics, it's online stuff. I think that's really interesting. Well, ladies, thank you for stopping by and enjoy the rest of Armageddon.
You too. Thank you. You too. Thanks.
That was fun.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've come in for a quick nom, as we say, and a very expensive chips here. Very expensive chips here. It's Maynard. You're here too.
Hello, yeah, look, we are searching for Australia's most expensive chips, and with $6 chips here and burgers that were $9.50, which is kind of an amazing price, but, like, what else are you going to do?
But so you're here to do a few interviews, which is great. We're here to do a few interviews.
Yeah, look, I've been chatting to a few people. I've had a great chat with a friend of mine who I just happened to see after not seeing him for many years, and he's just had a heart transplant after 5 years. We might have that story coming up in coming weeks.
Wow.
But I've been talking to lots of fans of all sorts of things. Okay, well, after we have a refreshing energy drink and the world's most expensive fries, what do you want to do next?
Why don't we go out and grab some interviews, Maynard?
Matt, we have walked 40 miles from a car park to talk to this man today, and I would have walked 100 kilometres, or whatever that is in American miles, to talk to our guest, our first guest here at Armageddon, who is...
Michael McConnohie.
It is. Look, and it's great to be talking to someone who has made a specific career mainly with their voice, because just because I work in radio, I'm going to probably be starving in about a fortnight. But you've got a long career of eating food ahead of you, because you've got a damn good voice and a damn good voiceover style.
Well, thank you, but mostly it's just bad sinuses, which I've trained to justify their existence.
But when did you decide, okay, enough of this visual stuff, this visual video's going nowhere, I want to make my career just making sounds with my mouth?
Oh, fie on you. No. I am an actor. I go on screen. I don't go on stage because I can't have the time. I am an actor. Ah. I use my voice, I use my face, I use my body, and I pick up spare change doing mime.
Oh, well, mime is money. Look, and I didn't mean to insult you by that, just you are best known for your voice. And if you could play any role on film doing the voice and the vision, what would that be? Well, what would you like to do?
Oh, good. I would love to reinvigorate Cary Grant.
Now, tell us, you've been running a workshop for people over here at Armageddon. It's been an 80-hour workshop. What have you been doing, and what has everyone been wanting to know from you?
Right, well, we call it the ADR experience, and we get a chance for anime fans to actually audition as if they were auditioning for a role in an existing anime series. So we have a lighter female, a stronger female, a lighter male, a stronger male, and we have scenes from existing series where we pulled one character out, and they fill in the voice for that character. And everyone has a lot of fun, and they all get a DVD of their performances in an anime. It's an awful lot of fun.
Oh, that must be a great experience for the fans. Well, and please tell us some of the voices we may have heard you do here in Australia in anime and other things.
Okay, well, in original animation, the original Transformers, what we call Generation 1, was Trax and Cosmos. Trax was the blue Corvette with a very expanded sense of self. Cosmos was, he was a sort of a silly little green flying saucer, and nobody understood him. And G.I. Joe,
there was a guy named Cross Country, and he was a hillbilly, and he had a big stereo system in his tank.
Anime, I've been all over the map. I've done everything from fuzzy little puppets to Fist of the North Star at the beginning of anime. What is it? I just did a game, doing a lot of video games now. Recently, I did a video game via the internet for a company in Poland where I was portraying a blue orangutan named Khufu.
Wow. Now, this is unusual because when you're doing that, you don't necessarily read a timeline script. You're often reading just one word disassociated. Is that correct, the way they do that?
Yeah, context is very rarely there for us. And so we wind up, when we're working in a vacuum like that, giving any number of alternate readings, hoping that one of them is going to be close to the situation in the game.
And what's the usual word that comes up in just about all the games you've done? What's the most commonly occurring word?
In terms of?
The game. I mean, you've done a number of games. Is there one word or action that comes up in most games you find yourself reading over again in almost every script situation?
Yes. One word is die. Pretty much that covers it.
Yeah, and probably there's no pleasant way of saying that, is there really?
Oh, there is. It's like, die.
And what have you got coming up next? I mean, you've got this trip to Australia. We've all been nice to you, haven't we? If there's any complaints, just when you're leaving, just like write down the names of the people and we'll take care of them, as we say in the business.
I didn't know you were management. Excellent. No, I've never had a welcome as I've had in this country. It is fabulous, and it's always been a dream of mine to get here, really from the time I was a child, and I finally achieved it.
Well, we're kind of famous for our sense of humour, but that also means that sometimes we don't take stuff seriously. Perhaps we should.
That's not... Oh, good heavens. I've just come to a realization. Someone's been mucking about with me.
It could be an epiphany or a catharsis or lots of other words I don't know the meaning of.
No, actually, the finest thing I've found here, aside from the welcome, 3 things in descending order of importance: the welcome, the beer, the steaks.
Whoa, okay. But I would have thought everyone's always going on about Texas steaks and American meat and stuff.
Oh, we do terrible things to cows in the States. Don't ask me to give you details.
Oh, okay. Well, look, and your next actual project you're working on, got some movies coming up? You've got another game in the pipeline there?
Yeah, I just wrapped a game, and unfortunately, with games, we are terribly constricted by the non-disclosure agreements we sign, even before we're allowed to audition. So I can say that there is a game which will be coming out, which is...
Can you even ask if it's a first-person shooter? Can you even give that?
It's sort of a fighting game on the order of Diablo. It's not affiliated with Blizzard, and I play a very strong sorcerer who has a bad case of amnesia.
Oh, look, thank you for coming in. What have they found the fans here? I always like to get one last question about the fans. Anime fans, sci-fi fans have a reputation beyond that of, like, footballer fans. You know, they can go pretty wild and pretty crazy. Have you experienced any crazy fan moments here, good or bad?
Oh, absolutely. Every moment. And that is what makes going to these events so vibrant and wonderful, because what we run into is genuine human interaction. And people have such an incredible enthusiasm for what we do. And we keep making a point every time we go to one of these places that you guys are the reasons we're here. Without you, I'm sorry, seriously, I really am nothing. I could talk to myself in the bathroom, but it's not going to be the same.
Is there one cartoon show currently on the air you wouldn't mind being a cast member of?
Well, I'm rather stuck in the past. I don't watch cartoons anymore. People ask me, what games do you play? I don't.
Mate, I'm in the games. I don't have to play it.
It's back to William Shatner and his line from Star Trek 4. Oh, so you live in outer space? No. I live in Iowa. I work in outer space. I work in games. It's not going to be a busman's holiday for me.
Well, thank you for coming here and working us, and maybe getting some potential future voiceover artists going here in Sydney.
Oh, I think so, because we found an awful lot of talent. Some of these kids are really, really good.
Look, we are here at Armageddon, and I tell you what, it has been a huge day, hasn't it, Richard? Now, this thing's travelling around Australia, so there's like Adelaide fans, South Australian fans of the podcast that might be going, should I go, should I not? But, even if they're into wrestling, it's worth going for.
Maynard, look, we've had such a fantastic day here. We've seen some really big celebrities. The fans have been fantastic. Adelaide people, it's on this weekend in Adelaide, and you can check out more by going to the website, which is ArmageddonExpo.com.
Yeah, and look, go along there, and of course, if you do go along in costume and you see other Skeptic Zone fans there, take a photo of them and send it to us, because we'd like to stick it up on the website, because, we're just as weird as you are, don't get us wrong.
Thanks, Maynard.
Hey guys, this is Jay from the Skeptics Guide to the Universe, and whoa, hold on, whoa! Everybody knows I'm the only reason to listen to the freaking show, right? I mean, if it was up to me, the show would start with this. Yeah, boy! Well, Rebecca would hate that, probably, but, I'd rock that. Listen to our show and you can learn about cool stuff like a technological singularity, which is someday when technology progresses so fast that it would make the Industrial Revolution look like a kid's science project. Anyway, come check us out at www.theskepticsguide.org and get your science on!
Join us now for Drinking Skeptically in the Think Tank.
Are you recording?
Of course I'm recording, and those wonderful rich tones of the laughter which fills us all with merriment and hope for the future belongs to none other... Are you finished? Then Dr. Rachie. Hello, Dr. Rachie.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
I'm okay.
Do you know why you're here? I don't know why I'm here.
I don't know why you're here either, but I'm glad you are. And I'm also glad that James is here. Bastard Sheep, hello.
G'day, everyone.
G'day. And joining us as our special guest, one of our special guests tonight, is Steve. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
Fine. Steve's one of our listeners who's come along tonight with his wonder dog, Casey, who's hidden under the table, I think.
I can see it.
There she is.
Out the corner of my eye.
And a big hello to our one of our favourites here at the think tank, Dianne. Hi, Dianne.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I've had... Ploff, thank you. That was Dr. Rachie butting in. I've had a good time, and it's hello to Eran Segev.
Hello, Richard.
Hello, Eran. And a big welcome, a very big welcome, as you've heard at the top of the show. Joining us tonight in the think tank is voiceover man Jim Wilshire. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Richard. You're well tonight?
How am I?
Yes, exactly. You're also recording.
I am. I'm doing well. I've got it all happening. It's really great. So, Rachel, I noticed... Rachel's busily poring over the internet at the moment, folks, and I think you wanted to talk to us about a survey.
Yeah, sorry, I'm actually on James's computer because my iPad's not getting internets at the moment. And I've just come across a page you left open, James.
Do we want to know?
It's a blog written by Tanveer Ahmed, and he's a regular contributor for the Sydney Morning Herald. He's a psychiatrist. He was the guy that I was on the drum with on the ABC when I did my little segment on the drum about Wakefield and the BMJ. And he's written a blog post today about alternative medicine, superstition of our age.
Wow, where's that exactly? Where can our listeners look for that?
Okay, it's on smh.com.au and it's in the National Times, which is, if you scroll down the website, it's kind of a couple of scrolls down. It's in the Society and Culture section.
Okay.
But I had a chat with Tanveer actually after we did our drum show together, and he was talking about, because he asked me a couple of questions on air about vaccination rates and how they were affected by the sort of Wakefield scare that was the Lancet paper. And he said he's always had an interest in that sort of stuff and alt-med, but he finds as a doctor that he's often getting patients coming to him and saying, can I use this, does it work, that sort of thing. So I haven't actually read this yet, but I just found it on Sheepy's computer.
The main reason why I had that open, if you go down to Notepad, you'll see a few of the comments that were left by some of the readers, and they were quite amusing if you read them out for me.
Yeah, there's one here that says, Tanveer makes good points. He admits there are shortcomings in mainstream medicine. Yes, some alternative medicine is fluff, but not all of it. Oh, here comes the good bit. Homeopathy works and has been around for thousands of years. Thousands? I thought it was 200. How long has convention medicine been around for?
Convention
medicine and ending a sentence with for, which is a preposition. Homeopathy is a holistic approach to the body rather than smacking one organ with one drug. Smacking is spelled S-M-A-C-H-I-N-G. In fact, I'd say homeopaths probably have a better understanding of the body as a complete organism. I assume that's meant to be organism.
How much of it is all caps?
There's no super caps lock.
Oh, really?
No. Surgery.
It's not genuine then?
Well, it's not one of the serious, part of the spectrum. Surgery, IVF and psychiatry are areas I think are well done. Immunology, nutrition and psychology are areas I think are messed up badly. Ooh.
Obviously an expert.
Yeah.
Can you make this qualified statement exactly?
This is someone called me.
It was you, was it?
Yeah.
I think you have watered down what they said.
As someone who has tried multiple conventional treatments for kiling infections, once I shifted to raw garlic and ginger, it clobbered the infection. Modern medicine needs to just plainly admit it has lots to learn rather than strutting around looking important. First, do no harm. Me, March the 4th, 9:06 a.m.
Good.
Lol.
Good
okay.
grief. It's night. We don't have to write their funny lines. They write them all by themselves. But we should get back to the survey we're going to
Sorry,
discuss.
that wasn't the question
that
you
was
asked me
no, that was
minutes ago, was it?
No, that was an amusing diversion.
Anyway, Tanveer's blog was good. Okay, so what I was going to talk about, Richard, was a paper that was published in the last week or so. It's by the University of WA, and it was looking at whether pharmacists offer good advice compared to GPs. Now, this is something we've talked about quite a lot on The Zone, and we've blogged about as well, because we have a bit of a beef with pharmacists selling things like ear candles and homeopathy and other bogus
Indeed,
things.
Jim and I were at a shopping centre today, and I took him in and I said, look at this, and we found the ear candles. In the
really?
in the ear section.
In the
Tragic.
ear section.
Tragic.
Yeah. Well, this study was published in the Annals of Pharmacotherapy, and basically they sent researchers, which were posing as patients with symptoms of a chronic cough, to 155 Perth pharmacies. And then the researchers initially asked for something for a cough from either the assistant or the pharmacist. And if they were questioned about their cough, they were then had to explain that they'd had the cough for a couple of times a week. They get the cough, and it had persisted for a couple of months. And they were also instructed to say that they were taking salbutamol twice a day to relieve symptoms of asthma. So they were on steroids as well. Now, according to the results, only 38% of pharmacy staff, including the pharmacists, advised the patients to go and see a doctor. And this was the sort of benchmark of the study to determine whether the pharmacists were giving good advice, was whether they said, see a GP. 38% of them did. 74% of them just sold them some cough suppressant and sent them on their way.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't surprise me. It matches our experiences.
Yeah, it does. They also said that in some cases staff members sold them cough medicine and provided referral advice, but they didn't, because they didn't get them to go to a doctor, they could be delaying their treatment. So potentially their cough could have got worse. So
that's nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's nothing to sneeze at. But what is particularly interesting too about this article is the comments. Now, this is on a page called medicalobserver.com.au, and there's not even one comment in support of pharmacists. All of the comments agree with the article and are saying things like, well, I'm not surprised. Over many years I've been into pharmacies and asked them for advice, and I always end up being sold something. This person says, the advice handed out by pharmacists makes me cringe. They usually end up just selling me some useless product.
I've had pharmacists, or should I say people in a pharmacy, who they are I don't know, and the general public wouldn't know, sales assistants acting as if they think they're doctors, especially when it comes to alt med.
Well, this person here has left a comment saying that he wants to see them getting out of the woo-woo business. This is one of us, I guess, using the term woo-woo. Yeah. They say any trip to a pharmacy will show them selling all manner of worthless magnetic therapy bits and pieces, homeopathic medicines, which is an oxymoron, questionable new age CDs on various alternative mumbo-jumbo. They say, I've got nothing against pharmacists, but it is a challenging degree to attain, with plenty of biochemistry, physiology and pharmacology, but why do they lower themselves to selling all that rubbish? So this person's actually suggesting that it's just simply a case of greed winning over ethics, because they're just selling all this nonsense when ethically... In fact, I've looked into the code of conduct for pharmacists, and by selling stuff like this, they're breaching their own code of ethics. Yeah. Because their code of ethics specifies that they will only agree to sell things for which there is an evidence base.
And can I just ask if that relates, to one particular state in Australia or right across Australia?
This study was done in Western Australia.
Right.
I'm in Sydney, so my experience is in New South Wales, where Richard and I, Jim, for fun, on the weekends, we go into pharmacies and we ask the pharmacists questions, or their staff, and we've never had...
We've yet to have...
No, I apologise. Once we went into a pharmacy in Marrickville and asked about homeopathy, and she said, it's worthless, it's useless, but it's not here because I want it here. I'm a franchise, and the people that run this franchise put it in my store.
But that's the exception.
That's an exception.
The rule is generally even the pharmacist and a real pharmacist we asked once didn't know what it was.
This is very sad to me because 2 or 3 decades ago, I was integrally involved in putting together a video which was shown to primary schools throughout New South Wales, funded by the New South Wales Pharmaceutical Association, and it was titled Your First Aid, talking about the pharmacist being the first point of call when you became crook, rather than just rushing straight to a doctor. And the whole philosophy was that he was the healthcare professional, or she was the healthcare professional, who would be able to disseminate sound advice. Now, what you have said suggests that no longer exists, and if that's true, that's very, very sad.
Well, that's why everyone's heard the phrase "ask your pharmacist." I mean, you still see ads on television now where they say "ask your pharmacist about this type of medicine," but unfortunately, once you go and do ask them, you get spurious information and advice.
We just don't know what you're going to get. That's true.
Well, yeah.
Why do you think they sell these ludicrous products?
Because they sell. They sell them because the products sell.
Well, this is exactly
not good enough.
What Dianne was saying before. Dianne mentioned that one of our friends went in to get a prescription filled for his quit smoking drugs, and on the counter of the pharmacy were e-candles, and he apparently asked the pharmacist why they're there, and the pharmacist kind of went, "Oh yeah, well they sell, people want them, and people buy them, so we stock them." And he said, "Well, I want a gram of Coke."
Actually, he said something else.
What?
On Facebook, he said something else.
Say?
Do you have a rent boy?
That's right. He said, that's right. He said, "I want a rent boy."
Said people want sex too. Do you have a rent boy?
Yeah.
Good heavens.
So, you're right, Jim. It's no excuse. That, and ethically, they really shouldn't be doing it. And this is actually really interesting because it's the first time I've seen an academic study that's measured it, that's quantitated how bad the problem is. In some parts of the world at the moment, there are people like pharmacists, and actually in Canada it's as bad as naturopaths, are pushing to be able to prescribe drugs. And in some parts of Canada, actually naturopaths can now prescribe drugs. But pharmacists are also pushing for that, and it would certainly solve a lot of issues in Australia with, the lack of doctors that we have. We don't have enough GPs and that sort of... There's a lot of pressure on our health system. But this evidence suggests that they're just not capable of doing that.
No.
There's a reason there's doctors prescribe, because they have medical training.
That's correct, yeah. But these guys are trained... Well, they're trained fully in understanding how drugs work and what they do. But they're not trained to diagnose, you're right. But they're neither are naturopaths, and they're allowed to in Canada. But this doesn't give you a lot of faith in their abilities.
Sadly,
It's really
no.
disappointing, because I went through university with pharmacy students. We did the same lectures in a lot of cases, and it's really hard to get into pharmacy. It's a really competitive course. It's very complicated. There's a lot of pharmacokinetics that make your head explode.
Next time a pharmacist suggests that the reason they sell these sham products is because they sell, ask them why they don't sell cigarettes.
Yeah. They used to. In fact, they still do in the States. They sell booze and fags.
Cocaine too.
Yeah.
It's a very sad state of affairs. But Jim, I was very interested to hear you say that you were involved some time ago in was it voice work, presumably?
No, it was a video.
It was a video.
And I played quite a number of different characters. We shot it in a number of different places in Sydney, including Sydney University. And it was quite a prestigious piece, well done, and a lot of fun to do, hard work. And the entire message was that a pharmacist was your first aid. And now, of course, that is in question.
It seems like that's still a very common opinion as well. You have the yearly most trusted people surveys, and pharmacists still seem to be right up there, which is why it surprised me when you said that all the comments on that article were universally negative towards pharmacists. So it would appear there might be a bit of cognitive dissonance going on where people still trust them but don't at the same time.
Maybe one of the problems is, maybe my memory is faulty, but when I was a child, I seem to remember that a pharmacy, a chemist shop, was at least one pharmacist and maybe one assistant. These days, there seem to be 10 assistants and still only one pharmacist. So if you go in to ask advice, chances are you're not going to get the advice of the pharmacist, but of one of the assistants.
And you could also be getting advice from the resident naturopath.
Or the iridologist.
Or the iridologist. That pharmacy we went in today, Jim, every week has an iridology reader come in. You know, reading,
yes.
You got the spot in your eye, your foot's going to fall off, sort of thing. But
It is that preposterous, though.
It is. But don't ask an ear candle specialist for advice, because usually they can't hear you. Oh, dear me.
Yeah, that's because they've either got candles stuck in their ears or they've blown their hearing because hot wax has burst their eardrum.
While you're here, Jim, can you spend a moment or two to fill our listeners in a little bit about your background? Because you're known, behind you, you're known, of course, as our voiceover man who introduces the show and the segments. But what can you tell our worldwide listening base about yourself?
Well, gee whiz, my basic background is radio and 3 or 4 decades in radio, specialising in open-line radio. I regard myself as one of the fairer open-line broadcasters in Australian radio, having been number 1 in Sydney and in Melbourne at different times with open-line and other areas, including Canberra and Albury.
Were you the John Laws of your day, Jim?
No. He was the John Laws of his day.
Oh, that's right.
John Laws for the last century.
That's true, actually.
I met you originally when you did a late-night show on Radio 2GB here in Sydney, the same station Rachael and I appear on now occasionally.
And Alan Jones.
Not Alan Jones. Yeah, well, that's his station here.
Yeah. Yes, I predate Alan being at 2GB. Yes, I used the opportunity of having Weekend Midnight to Dawns on 2GB. I figured that was an opportunity that a lot of radio announcers would cut off an arm for. So for 3 months I ran Jim Wilshire's nightclub. I wrote 50 comedy sketches a week for the 2 shows. I had guests of honour in each show, did a lot of hard work just for the 2 shows, and eventually got a breakfast shift in the nation's capital out of it. So it paid back, it paid well with its dividend. And I went on to be number 1 in Canberra with adults and so on. That led to going to Melbourne, where I said I was number 1. Even beat the FM stations in Melbourne with an AM station. So it was good fun. Eventually I got out because, unfortunately, the problem with radio is that failed radio announcers generally become the managers and the program managers, and there's nothing worse than being told by a failure what to do when you're a success.
Oh, dear. Now, you were relating to me a story a little while ago about the time you were taking open line, talkback, and you had somebody calling themselves a numerologist coming.
I was filling in for another person who had taken an extended break, had a Midnight to Dawn show which included a lot of open line and guests, and there was a regular guest who was a numerologist. That freaked me out a bit, but I was prepared to go along with it for the sheer fun of the exercise. And as long as it was treated as a fun exercise, I saw no great danger in it, until we got a call from an old lady, and part of what the numerologist wanted to know was her street number. And based on her street number, he told her to move house. Now, to me, that was incredibly dangerous. You can imagine the sort of drama that could cause to the old lady, to the family of the old lady, to everyone involved. And I kicked him out of the studio. I refused to have him on the program, and I got nothing but plaudits. Nobody condemned me for doing it.
Right, because numerology is particularly insane branch of divination.
Well, it just doesn't add up.
There's something I realized just now.
Yes.
Why you're such good friends.
Yes. I had this revelation. And you know, also, Jim is very good friends with Richard's brother, Jeff, who is almost worse than Richard when it comes to bad puns.
No.
Almost,
okay.
I would say. So I can see why they're all friends. Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to the think tank. But no, it's really as I said before.
It was a boom tish then.
Yeah, boom tish. It's fantastic that Jim has come up to visit, and we'll have to encourage him to come up more often. I think it's really great to see you here, Jim. And as listeners would know, earlier in the episode, today's episode, I played a poem that Jim read last night live at Skeptics in the Pub, which was great.
That was good fun. Thank you.
Poem.
Yeah, and that's going to be published in the Skeptic magazine, by the way, which is also fantastic. Speaking of Skeptics in the Pub, we had a good night. Rachel, congratulations on your talk at Skeptics in the Pub.
Thanks. I really enjoy giving that talk.
That's Dr. Google, isn't it?
Yeah, Diagnosis by Dr. Google.
Which is the same, well, not quite the same talk you gave the other week at that big festival, Big Ideas. You've improved upon it somewhat.
Well, I expanded on it as well. And one thing that I did cover last night, which a lot of people have since asked me about, the HON code. And HON stands for Health on the Net Foundation. It's a non-government organisation based in Switzerland. So it's www.hon.ch for Switzerland. And basically it's been around since 1995. It's a non-profit, non-government, and it's focused on the provision of health information to citizens. And what it does is it is a sort of indication of a website that has accurate health information on the internet.
Right.
So you can submit your website to these people, they'll look at it, and if they deem that it's useful and it's accurate and it's evidence-based, yeah. They'll give you this
science-based, we might say.
Science-based, yeah. They'll give you this little code that you can put on your website, which is indicative that it's reliable online health information. But one of the things that I talked about last night is you can use it as a search engine as well. So if you are looking for information and you want to make sure that it's reliable, you can go onto HON and you can do a search for a particular topic. For example, vaccination, and it will bring up, it'll search the millions of HON accredited websites, and then it also gives you a little menu where you can select whether you want information for health professionals, for a member of the public, if you want it to be information for teenagers, for young children, for old people. So then you can filter even further from that those search results that you get up. So a lot of people ask me about it. So the website is hon.ch. And it's really useful.
I've been asked by our good friend Lucas Randall. Hi, Lucas. Lucas is the wonderful man who donated the video camera to the Skeptic Zone, which we still use, and I'll get to that in a second, to mention a new Skeptics in the Pub. It's the Melbourne Eastern Hills Skeptics in the Pub, or MEH for short.
Meh.
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 Meh. Meh.
Meh.
Moo. Yeah.
Hey, James, come on, you've got to contribute something.
Sheepy.
No, sheepy's over there.
Sheepy's over there. And you can, Melbourne Eastern Hills people, have a look at http://groupspaces.com/meh, or just do a search for Melbourne Eastern Hills Skeptics. Bit of a mouthful, but I'm sure you'll find it there.
Or maybe it will also be the...
This is Dr. Rachel's sound effects machine, otherwise known as her iPad. What was that, Eran?
That I thought maybe you could put the link in the newsletter.
Absolutely. The link will be on our website and in the newsletter. And Rachel?
Oh.
Thank you. And just to remind our listeners that, yes, I used the wonderful video camera donated by Lucas Randall just this last weekend. And earlier in the show, we had a report from Armageddon, Dr. Rachie, where you and I and Maynard were there.
Yeah, that was fun.
And Maynard and I, as you know, we also recorded a video report.
Yeah, when Maynard jumps up and down on the spot for 20 seconds for no reason as well.
But he does that.
Yeah, he does do that.
He does do that.
Is it true that at the end of that he said, Armageddon out of here?
Yes, it's probably true, Jim. Oh, someone take that away. Now, if you go to my YouTube channel, which is Skeptic Zone Podcast, that's the name of my YouTube channel, you'll see Maynard's report, but I'll certainly put the link into the show notes and the newsletter. Now, before we wrap it up, a good friend of ours who's Norwegian, Dr. Rachie?
Oh.
What? Just like our lovely guest earlier in the episode. A friend of his has been involved in making a movie called Wasted on the Young. And it's got very good movie reviews, so those people in Australia, why not go along and see Wasted on the Young? Also... Good grief. I'll certainly be going along to see that. And if you can just control yourself, Dr. Rachie, and tell us about Skeptics in the Pub before you wrap it up.
You know what's funnier than the sounds?
What?
The fact that she actually knows exactly what she needs to press it, regarding every... It's like, it's all at her fingertips,
It's your fault. You bought me this app.
I did. Before we go, Rachel, you have an important note about Sydney Skeptics in the Pub.
Yes, we have moved to a new venue, and we hope this is the final change for at least a few months anyway, because we've been chopping and changing a bit lately. We actually got kicked out of our previous pub because they didn't like the cut of our jib, as you say. So we're now at the Macquarie Hotel in Surrey Hills, which is only a block away from our original venue, which is the Crown. So it's on the corner of Goulburn Street and...
something else.
Wentworth. You're right. So if you were at the Crown, you would just walk one block towards Surrey Hills and you'll see right in front of you the Macquarie. It's on the corner. It's a very big pub.
And we're upstairs, aren't we?
Upstairs in the restaurant. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and it was, again, congratulations on your Dr. Google talk. I like that talk a lot. It's very entertaining and very informative.
I will do the talk for food.
Okay. In 2 months' time, you can do it for my staff.
Oh, okay.
There you got an invitation already.
So I've got myself a gig.
Excellent. Well, what a fantastic time it's been, as ever, in the think tank. We love coming here and down at our favourite club down the end of the street. James, thank you for coming along.
Not a problem. It's great to be here.
And you're wearing a little pendant from Surly Amy that says no pants.
Of course, yeah.
There's no comment he can make to that. Steve, thank you so much for coming along.
And thank you for the invitation. It was wonderful.
My pleasure. Dianne, nice to see you as always.
Thank you, Richard.
And Eran Segev.
Thank you, Richard.
Dr. Rachie.
Oh.
And our special guest tonight, Jim Wilshire.
Thank you all.
And until next time, if we can survive Dr. Rachel's sound effect, she's got her thumbs.
She's got her thumbs just ready to press something.
It's cheers from the think tank.
Cheers.
Richard, you've done it again. Another Skeptic Zone in the can.
In the can. Wasn't that fun?
It was great fun.
It was great to have Jim involved with the think tank, actually.
In person as an actual human being rather than just some sort of audio signal coming through from I don't know where.
What was it like, Jim, for you?
Well, the thing to me was that I was right. When reality bites, there's no cure.
Ooh, that's deep. Oh, I don't know what to say about that. That's pretty profound. Now, Jim, of course, Stefan, Jim will be taking part in helping us with our secret project.
Oh, yes, indeed. Are you trying to hype up our audience a little bit, are you?
I am. It's on the way.
You're trying to whet their appetite for something they don't know anything about.
No, they know nothing about it. They can't even guess.
No, it is pretty exciting. We are planning a little thing, but we'll see how it all pans out.
Well, you know that we're sort of coming up in the next months to episode 150, and this has nothing to do with that.
No. At least we'll get them thinking. Yeah, I'm wondering.
Secret project.
All right, so Richard, I think that's it. 124, we're done. Thank you for listening. It's been another great week.
It has. Thank you very much. Lots of great things coming up on the Skeptic Zone.
Well, Richard, let's just get out of here, and we'll see you next week, eh?
Thanks, Stefan, and thank you, Jim, for taking part this week in the flesh.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jim.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.